na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Here we go. Na 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 na. Brother, where you been at? Yeah, I've been wanting to talk savage about all of my conquests. All of my conquests. Yeah, let me get the jack. Gotta get your feedback on the show. Be so savage, I can barely manage. Yeah, I know your girl's back.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Hasty Pudding Club. This is our Pop Chat series. We'll be bringing great artists and musical entrepreneurs from all over to talk with you guys and talk about their careers. I have with me the one and only Mick. He's graced our presence. He's from New York. He's worked with all of the greats. Wonderful DJ, an entrepreneur, a remixer, a mixtaper. Mixtaper, that's a new one. Also, you know, a brand ambassador for a lot of different amazing brands like, you know, Cadillac, Adidas. Am I right about that? You've worked with them?
I've worked with them in the past, yeah.
You know, throwing parties with and for Beyonce, Jay-Z. You were just at the correspondence dinner, like pre-party or something.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I don't think they're
last
gonna have
year.
that this year.
No, it got a little too lit.
I just think the Trump administration.
Oh.
Nobody's trying to celebrate it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, thank you for having us.
Of course.
This is amazing. Just wanted to start by asking you about your beginnings. We were talking about this earlier. You came from Ohio and you started there. You sort of got to mid-level. I was watching an interview earlier about this, and then you came to New York. How did you know it was the right time to move and to really sort of blow up what you were doing?
It's a great question. I laugh a lot. I get used to saying no, so
that's all good, man. Yeah.
I still find it funny that if anybody wants to talk to me and hear what I have to say. I had reached a point where, from a DJ perspective, this is before I really started branching off and doing other things. I did everything I could possibly do in Ohio to take my DJ career as far as it could go. Yeah. Any big party that was happening, I did it. Even outside of, I came up as a hip hop DJ. I was being booked for all the parties outside of hip hop parties for any corporation in Cleveland. I DJed all the Cavalier games. I DJed the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There was only X amount of things you could do in Cleveland to be at the top, quote unquote. And I was fortunate to be doing those, and so there was no more room to grow.
Yeah.
So the only place to grow was to move, and at that point, and still if you have to go to either New York or LA to try to really take entertainment to the next level. New York was closer, and I always had a love affair with New York, and I had just got married at the time. Sure. And we said we moved to New York 2 weeks later, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So your marriage sort of capped off your experience in Ohio, and you moved.
Yeah, absolutely. I got married I got engaged on my birthday in 2008, and I got married in May, which 2 months later. Wow. We got married really quick. In 2008, and we moved to New York 2 weeks later.
That's
so
amazing.
It was from March to June of 2008 was a transformative time in my life, personally, professionally, emotionally, financially. We were broke.
Yeah.
And this is moving to New York was not cheap. And we just kind of said, let's see what happens.
And you didn't have a job either when you...
No, it was just DJing.
You were just still DJing?
I was DJing, and I had enough relationships from just knowing people, from being in the music industry for a few years, to give it a go. And I moved to New York, and I did everything I could possibly do to keep the lights on, Exhausted my savings a little bit, and it worked, man. But some of the stuff I did when I first moved to New York, I would never do it now. But I'm glad I did it then, because it builds character too. Because also, when you're in
market, lights on kind of stuff, we weren't
broke. Don't get me wrong. I'm very diligent about saving money. But when I was in Cleveland, it was I could pick and choose what I want to do. I want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I don't want to do that. Moved to New York. No one cares. You're happy to get work. So I was I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. That price is way too low.
But
I would do it anyway. I would never normally want to see any of you people in real life, but I'll do your part. It's just because you have to pay your dues and you have to get in. And then a year goes by, 2 years goes by, 4 years goes by, and you have a better think about when you come to college, right? You're a freshman, you walk in the first day, you don't know what's going on. It's like, you don't know anybody, you don't know where the buildings are, you don't know which professors are cool, which ones aren't, who can help you, who's not. You don't even know, like, you know, where the good coffee shop, you don't know anything. And then after a couple of years, you're just like, I don't even remember not knowing how this ecosystem works, how this is all put together. So that's kind of what happened for me. And that went through for me from about 08 till like 2012, 2013-ish. And it was going well. And then at that point, I had another like kind of like, you know, inflection point where my life changed again. But for those first 4 years, it was just doing as much stuff and building up the music brand, what I'm doing, to the point that it could be remotely successful. And I was fortunate that it worked out, because my other option would have been to like move back to Ohio, go or get a regular job, stay in New York, get a regular job, move somewhere else and get a regular job. It was always like in the back of my mind, I could go do that. I didn't really want to do that. And now, and we'll get into it a little bit more later, but like my life has kind of become a bunch of creative jobs, all based off of what happened to me from DJing, with DJing kind of as the epicenter of them. And it's been a fun ride.
That's awesome, man.
Just made that up.
None of this ever happened. You know, I try to educate people who are really starting out, and one thing that always comes up, whether they're a DJ or a singer or whatever, is, you know, that first like 100 to 500 follower part of their career, where, you know, they're trying to establish themselves. I mean, because for a lot of people, they think themselves, well, I just need to get to the point where somebody notices me, or, you know, there's some checkpoint in the future where it suddenly starts to make sense, but till then it doesn't. You know, and it seems to me that, I mean, your career is very much an independent one, and, you know, you could even argue that you've sort of been in that, what other people call like a median point between that checkpoint. You're almost still in that, like you're still hustling in the same way, and to even further extent, you know, when you went to New York, that must have been like a humbling moment where suddenly you're doing it all over again, like you're starting almost from zero. So you have a lot of experience in this area. You know, do you have advice for people like that? You know, what do they do to really establish themselves? What kind of hustling do they have to do from day to day?
I mean, I don't think anyone should ever get to a point in their life at all where they stop their day-to-day hustle. Because if you get to that point where you don't have that thing driving you, then you're either really, really rich or you just don't really care anymore. One of those options is good, one of them is bad. But either way, like, I know people who are like zillionaires who work harder than I do. And I'm like amazed by that. And they don't have to do a thing for the rest of their life if they don't want to. But this actually inspires them to work more. Maybe it's so they have money to give to charity. Maybe it's just because they're just, a lot of people just wired that way. Certain people are put here to do certain things. For me, it was, you know, hustle out of necessity. I just loved what I did in music, and I was like, I wonder how far I can take this, you know. And then when you do graduate, you realize if this is the path if you want to choose to kind of go down this path, it's not an easy one. It's not a guaranteed one. You don't have 401k, you don't have severance, you don't have, you know, stock options, you don't have any of these things. You kind of just, you choose. More
difficult taxes.
All that, which I have to go do this week. You bet on yourself, right? And it's a great bet, because if you believe in yourself, which I did, but it requires a lot more work. It also requires the fact that you're giving up so much of yourself. You're giving up, you don't have a 9 to 5, you know. You have a 9 till, or you have an 8 till, for me, I have like an 8 till midnight every day of my day. Sometimes longer, and even longer now as a father. But these are sacrifices that you make. The hustle, it has to be in you, or you're not going to survive that, right? I just found levels and depths to what I do, inspiration-wise, just like motivationally, that I didn't even know I had in me. But what happens is you're growing, and you're transcending the levels of where you thought you would go. And so what happens is as you go up a notch, you're finding new levels of motivation and hustle within you. If you had to keep hustling to do the same thing over and over again, you're going to burn out. It's going to be like Groundhog Day over and over again, and you're going to like be running on fumes. But if you're on the path that you're supposed to be on, and you're going up a level and going up a level, you're gonna have new motivations, new excitement. You're gonna have new vitamins in your smoothie or whatever. Like it's just gonna be like new things to keep you going. And for me, that's what happened, and that's something I would encourage people. Like, you know, set your goals so you have, you know, aspiration and you have inspiration, and then you'll kind of renew your hustle. But also, it's kind of related to this. What I've also learned is don't be so regimented, so finite in what your goals should be.
Sure.
Because, I don't know, when I first moved to New York, I thought I was going to just be a hip-hop DJ for the rest of my life and then go work at like a record label or be an A&R and all this stuff, and that's kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Sure.
And it could have happened, and then 4 years in, I was like, holy shit, that's not what I want to do.
Right.
Like, I love this, I don't want to not do this, but I didn't want to go down that path.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to be pigeonholed in that for the rest of my life because I felt I had more to offer the world.
Right.
And I felt that the world had more to offer me if I wasn't in that particular, you know, track. It's almost like academically when you come to college, like they make you like take all the different diaspora of different subjects so you can kind of like figure out what your path is. Even though you might come in and say, I know I want to do finance, or I know I want to do pre-med, or whatever it is, and maybe that's not. And then for half those people, they're like, holy crap, how did I think this is what I wanted to do in the first place? That's kind of like how I've kept my mind open to opportunities with stuff. Did I even answer your question? Thanks.
You did. No, I mean, I think, I was asking about like that hustle, and you definitely sort of brought forth, it almost brought this metaphor to me of like working out. You know, you don't work out just to like have the same situation in the beginning of each week. Like you're laying a new groundwork of muscle, which lets you get a little bit further. And, you know, I really love that because for me, you know, I'm, you know, not even close to as far as where you've gone because I'm just starting. But I've even noticed that things that were really difficult to achieve 2, 3, 4 years ago, you know, it takes me like 30 seconds to facilitate now.
Yeah.
So I love that idea where, you know, you really sort of work hard to make the most of a situation, and the resulting relationships and just the system that's put in place by that effort, you know, makes it a lot easier to do it again and to sort of move forward to the next thing. So I totally feel that, and I appreciate you sort of sharing that.
It just builds.
Yeah.
It's levels and levels and levels and
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah. And also the fact that it seems like you have this really varied skill set. I mean, you're definitely not just a DJ. You know, as you said, you didn't want to be pigeonholed. So, you know, what was that like? I mean, what skills are we talking about here that you've built for yourself, and, you know, how does that apply to others?
That's a great question, and that's actually what happened to me when I told you I had another like little inflection point in my career around 2012. That's exactly what happened. I kind of like was very frustrated with where I was going.
Yeah.
Successful, moderately, you know, things were good, but I felt restricted, and I felt diminished on what my true like talent was and where I was going. And you know, I'm in my 30s, and it's like there was a point where I don't want to be like 50 and 60 years old DJing in a club.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, and I was doing a lot of DJing out, not clubs. I mean, I was doing events and brands and stuff, but it was just like, where's the end point for that? Where's the point where you become Jordan on the Wizards, not Jordan making the shot over the Jazz winning the championship? Like, you know, I don't want to be Jordan on the Wizards. I mean, not saying I'm Michael Jordan anyway, but I'm saying nobody wants to be Jordan on the Wizards.
Right.
That was a bad experience for all involved. People want to remember the red jersey, not like whatever that was. And
Don't be Jordan on the Wizards.
so I was like, how do I not do that?
Right.
How do I not be that guy? And so I kind of thought about analytically like how my whole career has went. And I went to school, I went to an MBA before I moved to New York. And unfortunately it wasn't at Harvard. I didn't apply, maybe I should have. But there's always my son. And but I get to now come here and talk to you guys, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of had like a good skill set of business acumen, and I was also raised very entrepreneurially. The one thing most people don't know about my career is I've self-managed since the beginning. Since I was 18 years old in a dorm room with 2 crates of records, it was like me thinking about how am I going to figure this out. So I started thinking about my whole life. Now, I grew up where my dad had a bunch of failed carpet and tile businesses, but he had his own businesses, and I never thought about it like that because it wasn't cool then, right? It wasn't cool back in the day to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't cool to have like startups and companies. It was just like nobody. It wasn't glamorized. Now it's like if you don't have your own startup in life, you're like a failure. You're not cool. It's like what it's like the new drug. But so my dad had a bunch of things and they failed, and there was no glamour. And then my grandpa had a drugstore, and he did well. And I worked for him from 7th grade until the day I went away to college. And again, I didn't look at it like my grandpa's an entrepreneur, my grandpa has this like pharmaceutical startup, which is technically true. I guess it sounds like hilarious thinking about this in retrospect, because we just sold like aspirin and stuffed animals and candy, but greeting cards. But when I look back at it as an adult, I saw how that inspired like my drive, because I didn't know anything. Like, I watched my dad fail, I watched my grandpa win, I watched me hustle my ass off for the family business, though we never considered it the family business, which was also really interesting. Because like, one of the weirdest things in my life that I never understood until I became an adult was how to separate business from like your family stuff, especially as an entrepreneur, which I think is something that's probably very hard for people who have these self-contained units.
Yeah.
When I was at work, and then literally my grandpa and my grandma were my boss, and I wanted like a can of Coke, or I wanted like a Sprite, or I wanted some like Frito-Lay or whatever chips, she would charge me like, I would get like 20% off, or like 30% off. So if it would be like, 40 cents for the can of Coke, or like the chips were like 75 cents instead of $1. And I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you charging me for these chips? And then I would go to her house after, or go to her house on Saturday, and she would just like force feed me all this horrible chips and pop, and I'm like, wait. And I'd be like, this is too much. Like, I end up being a fat kid because of it. And I'm just like, how are you charging me before 9 p.m. at your store, but then I go to your house and it's just like, you won't stop feeding me? And I never understood that. And I didn't realize the separation, right, between the business mind state and then like the rest of your life. So, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I didn't have any money. Like, why are you charging me for this? Like, I just, you're my grandma. And then years later, it kind of came back to me what they were imparting upon me, right?
Yeah.
Like how to like kind of like separate those two things. So, anyways, you fast forward to 2012ish, and I realized between those moments from my youth that inspired me, the stuff I learned in college, the stuff I learned in grad school, and then all the stuff I learned in managing myself, being essentially an entrepreneur, I kind of realized what I was doing then. I was like, whoa, what I do is not actually DJ. What I do is I'm an entrepreneur. DJing is my startup. I'm using all these words, right?
Yeah.
All these like fast company words, I call them. I was telling musical stories. I was curating vibes. Like, you could go down the list of these business words, but I was doing all of that, right? And I realized that was actually what my talent was like brand building myself. And then it just so happened, at the end of the day, a couple times a week, I'd show up somewhere originally with records and now with the computer, and make people really happy. But if I didn't do all that other shit, like the whole day, for like the last part of my life, nobody was gonna pay me to show up for those hour or two, and so it would drive me nuts. Not knowing, and I never really quantified like how much work I was putting into that, right? Because I was like, oh, how often do you work? And I'm like, oh, I work like 3 times a week. Oh, like, damn, dude, you work 6 hours a week? Man, you're like, great.
Right.
And I'd be like, yeah. For a while, I kind of like fell into believing that. Like, yeah,
right.
Dude, yeah, I really work 6 hours a week. That's amazing. Then I'm just like, one day I was like, holy shit, I don't work 6 hours a week. Like, I don't read
60
these books.
hours a week.
Right. I never read these books. Like, I never read these magazines that are on the table. I never like go for runs that are more than 20 minutes. Like, I never have time to do any of this stuff. Like, my to-do list was insane of like fun personal things. The work stuff I always got done. And I started realizing that's not what I do.
Right.
Like, DJing is literally not what I do. DJing is my it's just like my widget, if you will, And so when I made that mental switch to this is like what I really do, which is like brand build myself, the whole world opened up to me.
Wow.
Because it enabled me to tell the story of what I do, though I didn't really do a good job there, but normally, much more concise and much more like legitimately.
Right.
To the point now that I use this thing, it's called the airplane test. When I used to sit next to people on airplanes and I would tell them I'm a DJ, people would be like, all right, cool, we'll talk for like 5 minutes. Oh, does my son know who you are? No, I'm not really that type of guy, whatever. And then sometimes it would work. Occasionally I got gigs out of it, which was cool, but it was just like, you know, when I'm on a plane and I'm sitting next to like these CEOs and CMOs and all these amazing people, right? The DJing thing, we would talk until about takeoff. Like it would be like from the gate to the takeoff, and we wouldn't talk again. Then I started telling them like my whole story again, but flipping the narrative of it. Well, I work with this artist. He's great. We travel globally. We do events for Fortune 100 companies. We do partnerships with brands. We've done this. We've done that. We invest in startups. We do, you know, the whole spiel. But I tell it in a different way. Like I'm the person putting it together, not the person actually doing it.
Right.
People are like fascinated by that.
Yeah, it's a very small switch. That
right,
creates
and it's
huge
all
difference.
true. It's just telling the story from the flip side of it. And now our conversations go until, at least, it depends on where we're going. If we're going to Boston, we're probably talking until we land. But if we're going to like LA, we're at least halfway through the flight.
Right.
People find it much more fascinating. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm that person too.
Yeah.
And that also kind of like just showed me, wow, this is really what you're here to do. You're here to help build brands. You're here to add value to companies. Same thing happened when I started investing in startups. I did it because I thought it would be a way to eventually make some money.
Yeah.
I didn't even think at the time that my resources and my relationships could add value to any of these companies outside of my money.
Right.
And I was completely wrong. I've been able to add value to everybody I've been a part of. And it's just, and I've learned so much. It's been such an amazing journey working with them. But these are all skill sets, relationships, networks, everything that came from me being a DJ. Because when you DJ, you know, you're on the cusp of culture, right?
Yeah.
You're on the cusp of culture way faster than brands, most brands, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Like you would think a Pepsi would be on the cusp of culture, and then and they made that huge like faux pas, right?
Yeah.
And so many Under Armour with all these shoe issues that you just showed me, and the ones they had a couple years ago. Like when people have billions of dollars to put into culture, and then something gets missed. But somebody like you or I, you know, that's why I'm never going to stop DJing, no matter how great my life gets on the business side, because there's something about being on the front lines, and you know, just seeing what's going on, what's reacting with the youth, well, you are the youth, but like I was the youth, you know. And,
Look, like I don't understand half the stuff that my brother talks about. He's 17. It's crazy how fast it moves. You know what I mean? So,
dude, my niece was visiting us over. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know she's my niece because she's like my wife's cousin's daughter. So we'll say my niece, but whatever. It's easier. I don't feel like figuring that shit out. She's 9, and it's just like, what are you talking about? And it's like I'm super in tune with everything, but it's just another level for them.
yeah.
And it's kind of awesome, right?
Yeah.
And
they're taking so much ownership of it too.
Oh yeah, like her 9 was your 13, and my 18. Like it's just it's a different sort of thing, and to be around that is inspiring because then I can take some of that back and you know put it into my life because it keeps the ideas fresh and it keeps the energy fresh. And kind of went way around your question, but these are some things I like to talk about because for me, when I made that switch, like I was saying, it just got it. If you have questions on that, I can answer those for you as well. But it just changed my perspective of what I want to do and changed my life really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the decision and the following ability to start communicating more effectively with the CEOs, you know, turning something that was once just like, oh, this is DJing, into this entrepreneurial thing that's so on trend. That's a branding feat in of itself. That you had that moment where you thought, I need to change the way that I'm communicating with people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You have to, or you're going to be left out. Like so many people that I quote unquote came in the game with, I don't even know what they're doing anymore. You know.
Yeah.
Certain people are still doing stuff they don't want to do. Certain people went and just gave up. And for some reason, year in, year out, I have the fortunate blessing of growing and growing and growing. And it's because of that. Now, as I was telling you earlier, you know, there was a lot of reasons why this could not have happened too. Like, you know, when I was in school, and it's me repeating my story, but you guys didn't hear it. Like, I told you I had 3 stories.
Yeah.
My professor in grad school told me I was like a failure because I was a DJ. She was just like, but she was just like, I say girl or boy, man or woman, whatever they would be, but they were just like, you can't do this. you can't do this creative DJ thing and be an adult. Like you need to kind of like figure out how you can grow up, and that was insulting to me.
Yeah.
And the kid, and again we discussed those. Like the kids in my class didn't even want to be in my group. There was a point where I was in a group with kids. I don't remember what the class was. It was towards the end of my MBA program, and I literally did all the work. And this one girl in the group didn't do her end of the work, but they like colluded to imply to the teacher that I was the one fucking up.
Oh wow!
Because I was the DJ guy, and they were like they had whatever like a good job was in Ohio in 2005, like the pharmaceutical sales. I don't know, like whatever the peak job was at that time, and it was utter bullshit to the point that I had to finish the whole project on my own. Like it was like really, it was like discriminatory, which I don't not to use that word because it's like we live in a very unique time now with all that other stuff, but by definition,
I think discriminatory is the right word.
It is right. I just as a person, I'm a black wife and a mixed son, so like I try to save the discriminatory stuff for like, the real shit.
Yeah.
Or like Asian doctors on airplanes getting beat up. Like,
that's true.
That much is discriminatory, but by definition, this was discriminatory in that regard, and crazy, right? And then now, fast forward 10 years, and DJs are like the coolest thing on the planet, and everybody's a DJ, and everybody's a fake DJ, and everybody has DJ apps on their phones, and DJing got me to Harvard, and it's just like, so fuck you to that teacher and that group, but it's like, it's just funny that it is also interesting too when you look back in your life, these moments that were moments of high frustration, or these moments that could crush you, or these moments that could have made you go left. When you look at how these little tipping points and how they keep you going, and all of those moments actually built me to exactly who I am. Going back to the stuff with my grandparents, to that particular moment there that I just described, and zillions of other things that have happened since then, they all kind of like align to get you to exactly where you are.
Yeah. I have a question for you that I think applies to DJs in particular, because I'm, a DJ myself. I talk to a lot of college DJs who are just starting out, and one thing that I've noticed in the last 5 years is that you get a lot of people who are really proud of their music taste. And a lot of people who, maybe they go into it, like I was one of these people who was sort of socially awkward, wanted to share a part of myself that I really couldn't in any other way, and that was how I really got involved in it.
That's funny, I was the same way.
Yeah, and there's this argument that, or there's this, a debate really, that comes in line with that, which is, DJs as artists versus DJs as entertainers, and for that DJ who like is getting frustrated that clubs won't book them because they want to play like all house music or something like that, or for that regard, hip hop or whatever it is that they really want to do, that they feel constrained. Do you have advice for them? For how to sort of grow as an artist and how to take those two warring factions of the situation and put them together?
There's never been a better time to work around those constraints than now, or I would even say the last 5 years, because you don't need that club.
Yeah.
First of all, you can look at all the people that are icons to us now. They're all people that got popular virally, You could even go back to like 10 years ago, like the stuff that Diplo was doing. He got popular with his party in Philly, he got popular online, and then created a whole new, not like a genre, but like a whole new section of how people appreciate music. Every popular rapper now, same way, every popular DJ. And so clubs tend to be, for the most part, big business, or small business, but still business at the end of the day. So they're going to go towards the guaranteed money. They're going to go towards the guaranteed audience.
Low risk.
And low risk is also the lowest common denominator.
Status quo,
they want people to spend money. They want people to fill up the place. You're not going to get as progressive as you want to get in those sort of environments. So you kind of have to take yourself out of those environments, right? Maybe you need to do those to pay the bills, and that's fine. But maybe you start your own party. Maybe you don't just start your own party, but you start your own. You put your own mixes online and you find that community, which is so easy to do now. It's not like back in the day when it was impossible. Like, you'd be ordering mixtapes out of the back of magazines from Asia, and they'd come to you like 6 months later with custom stickers on them, and by that point you don't even remember what you ordered. It's like, but that's how you had to do it. Now it's just like you could just find that hashtag of the genre that you like, and like all those people's pictures, and they can come and check out your page and find your SoundCloud or whatever it is, and like instantly, if you have the talent or even a small inkling of talent, they find something they latch onto, and you're good.
Yeah.
And you just build it from there, and then you start your own party around that, and then maybe look at like the Selection dudes. That's what they did, and they're crushing, right?
Yeah.
And there's no reason you can't do that. But again, to bring it back to the other part, all that is literally lessons in business, lessons in entrepreneurship. Like, you have to be creative, but you got to understand the other side, because I know people that are way better DJs than me. I know people that are way better DJs than you, and I've never heard you. I know people that are way better DJs than anybody I've ever met that we're never gonna fucking hear.
Yeah.
Because they never leave their room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're in their room DJing, practicing for hours and days, and they don't have the mental capacity or skill set or ability
Or interest
to
or
explore.
anything. Yeah.
Well, some people, no, I mean, a lot of them have the interest. Everybody wants to be big. Everybody wants to make this.
Yeah.
They want to stay in a room while they DJ,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to, put the pieces together, right?
Yeah.
And what I obviously knowing you for one day, but the fact that you're doing all of this stuff, like, you have the skill set to transition that to a real world application, because you're here doing this, right? I had that same skill set as well, and there's costs that come with that, which is I could be a way better DJ if I didn't care about the business of me DJing. If I didn't want to make money doing it and play for people, and then I'd have much more time to practice and look for music and care and all of that. And so I had to make a choice, and like every business has to make a choice. Where do you cut? It's almost like in school. Like, I was smart in school. I realized I could get B's and spend most of my time off campus developing DJing,
Right.
and becoming a member of the hip hop community in Ohio and all that. And that wasn't going to happen if I was trying to be an A student,
Right.
because that would have involved much more of my time. I was very content with, let me get a B, and let me go do what I want to do. It obviously worked out for me. I'm very lucky. Same thing with the business of DJing, and if you want to spend all the time, if you want to develop the public-facing brand of what you're doing, if you want more people to know what you're doing, you have to take time. Your time is finite, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're in school. Maybe you can't practice as much. Maybe you can't have everything. So, like, yeah, there will come a time where your creativity may suffer for the art of your commerce.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a career out of it, that's a sacrifice you have to make.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you're lucky, you get to the point where you develop a team where you have a whole management, or if you get to like a Diplo level or whatever, where he doesn't have to worry about that stuff anymore. He could be as creative as he wants to be. He could sit in a cave all day making music, because it doesn't matter, because
he set that up.
He set it up, and so you kind of have to get yourself to that point. So, but that's a choice you have to make. For some people, it's like, nope, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about money. I don't care about anything. I just want to be the
You
best.
want to be excellent.
And I don't care if 10 people hear me, those 10 people are going to hear the best me. That's not how I think it. That's not how I go. But I respect that.
Yeah.
But then don't be mad when nothing happens for you too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a decision that you made. Like, it's really up to you.
What's going on, everybody? DJ Padei here. Unfortunately, the footage did cut out right at that point. We didn't realize it, but the camera was out of space. Regardless, it was a fantastic interview. I learned a lot. I hope y'all did too. I had a great time doing this interview with Mick, and I gotta thank him, first of all, for coming all the way from New York to do it, and also to talk to our students over at the Hasty Pudding Club and outside of the club as well. They learned a heck of a lot from him about the music industry and about making it as an independent artist, in particular a DJ and an entrepreneur, and just a general creative, in fact. This video is actually a part of the Hasty Pudding Club's Pop Chat series. And Pop Chats are a series of talks where we bring in artists for these sort of impromptu Q&A sessions where they talk for about an hour or 2 hours about their experience working in the music industry. We've had Karina Pasian, who's a Grammy-nominated singer. We've had Ben Folds, who,
doesn't even need an introduction. And soon in December, we're actually gonna have Laid Back Luke come in as well. So watch out for more news on that from me. It's gonna be fantastic. And again, thank you all so much for watching the video. Really appreciate the support. Talk to y'all soon.
I got a story about a lady. Didn't like to pay, but like that she could. Yeah, she liked all the stories about me touring.